Welcome to Sense episode 97. It's May 28th, 2017. This is the Live on Dr. New show we do your dollar reviews where we cover tech, TV, movies, streaming, VR, and sometimes video games. I'm Brian Gillis, and if you've never listened, essentially over the past week, anything that's happened in the news, I took note, wrote it down, surmised things, maybe threw in some theory, some guesswork on where the future's going to go. This is very much so a futurist podcast. Like I said in the title, not the title at the beginning, it is VR-centric. And I actually had a run-in with someone that actually is a developer in VR, so hopefully they'll be not on this show, but a future show that I am creating. As I said, I'm Brian Gillis. I'm not here alone. I'm here with Stephen Malmanex.
Hello.
Is that a continuation of ABBA last week?
No, that's hello in German, not ABBA's Sweden, right? So
they all say hello like that. Hallo.
well, if you want to say it that way, then yeah,
Like
sure.
Guten Tag.
Sure, that can count.
By the way, I follow it up on that research in terms of Eurovision. The big three winners. I knew ABBA. That's by far the big one, and I was right in that Waterloo was the winning song that turned them into the pioneering international pop stars. Celine Dion was also a Eurovision winner. Her career basically got kickstarted because of Eurovision. And then the craziest thing about that, too, she used to be a French pop artist. Well, if you want to call Celine Dion pop. She didn't turn into English singing until, like, 92 or something crazy. Like, more than a quarter of her career, she was just this French-Canadian singer. Which
I
is
was
like,
gonna say she is Canadian, right? Like,
it's
know
something
that
crazy
part.
to
That
think
is weird.
about.
Yeah.
Yeah. I forget who the third one was, too. Not as big as Celine Dion and ABBA, though. Anyway, a lot of things happened this week. And a lot of people died, or things died. Started off with, like, smaller things, and it was all at the same time. We lost a James Bond this week. Fucking Roger Moore's gone. Which one of his is your favorite?
I don't know. Probably For Your Eyes Only, to be honest. He's not like my favorite Bond ever, but I didn't hate him. Like
I don't think anyone hates any Bond.
a lot of people hate Roger Moore. Honestly,
Really?
People our age. There's people that find him way too goofy and
Well,
just
they
can't
don't
stand him.
understand the time. Like,
Yeah.
campiness was invented, well, not really, but in terms of contemporary pop culture, it all harkens back to that time period. Look at
See,
look at
I got
Batman
friends though
back
also
then.
that I watched some of those movies with that we enjoyed as kids, not really knowing any better, and then they would grow up and say, "Oh no, those things are fucking terrible." It's stupid that I ever liked them, but Bond's we grew up with Pierce Brosnan. We got Die
The
Another
very-
Day.
yeah,
We
the
got the
very
fucking Ice
serious
Palace
Bond.
and satellite, like laser satellites, fucking
And Madonna
taking down.
song.
Yeah, I've.
Speaking of, Chris Cornell also died the other week.
It's a fucking bummer. I mean, Bond's always been pretty over the top, man. But
most
yeah, no,
people know
it's
this.
it's a bummer. But at the same time, it's like he was at least 90, right? So
Yeah, I think he was 89, and
Yeah.
his movie career was over, and he was mostly just, touring the country type of thing, like
Yeah, it's
meet and greet.
he did good in life.
Yeah, he did great. My favorite of his, I haven't seen all of them, but my favorite, I hold steadfast to Moonraker. I really enjoy how fucking over the top that movie is. Literally,
He is the one Bond that went to space. So
not just to space, but to a moon station. Like, the whole premise of the first Austin Powers movie is like a direct ripoff of Moonraker.
Moonraker never goes to the moon, though. It goes to a space station. Austin Powers gets to go up to the moon,
But
but
he goes
it
to the
does
moon.
play with that.
The same concept, though, was used for Austin Powers, and then even further, the Machete sequel we may never get, Machete Kills in Space. Like, that fake trailer at the end of Machete Kills is 100% Moonraker Austin Powers. It just... Plus, Jaws is in that movie. It's like one of the few Jaws movies, so...
Well, there's only two, but yeah. Also, did you see The Spy Who Loved Me?
I want to say yes. I'm not sure. Like, my James Bond filmography is
It's
real
good.
hazy.
It is good.
Like, I don't know based on title alone, besides like the last 8, which ones I've seen or haven't seen. Like, I know I've seen From Russia with Love, but I haven't seen Doctor No. I've seen Never Say Never Again, but not like.
Well, Never Say Never Again is not even truly.
Yeah, well, I've seen it though.
Within that.
I've seen it.
All right.
But yeah, my James Bond knowledge is not the best out there.
I've seen them all. I grew up with them all.
I didn't.
They are awesome. Roger Moore was awesome.
Yeah, good. Rest in peace, man. This is a much smaller death, but it's going to lead up because it's going to get bigger and bigger. Netflix killed their most expensive show to date, The Get Down, the Baz Luhrmann hip-hop thing that was done in 2 parts because it was so expensive. Like, we're talking, I think, something like $3 million an episode type shit. I still haven't seen it. Now I'm going to have to because you can binge the whole thing in like 7 hours or whatever, 8 hours.
This is like the first major cancellation, though, that they've
Yeah,
done.
big time. This is one. This was. I don't know the numbers on it, but I remember one of the first half or whatever you want to call it premiered. It had great reviews.
There is a fan base.
Yeah,
I mean,
huge numbers. It's a New York-based, New York centric like evolution of hip hop. I think during the '70s. I still want to see it. It's basically like a musical.
It's funny though because Netflix, I guess I'll say studio, the streaming service, but whatever. In this case, for TV, they're kind of a studio. Known for bringing back shows that have been canceled or just reviving, old stuff that are, like for reunions, like not Old House, Full House. And it's funny that, now they finally cancel some where there is an audience that likes it. Like, I didn't watch it, but I know that there's people out there that were talking about it. It may not be as big as, Stranger Things or Orange is the New Black or hell, even House of Cards, but still, like, it's just funny to think about on that level.
When I see it, which is probably going to be sometime soon, I'm going to find out why. And my initial response when I saw the headline was most likely because it was so expensive that the viewership
that's
just
probably
didn't
what's going to happen is you're going to look at it
Yeah.
and it's going to be like, it looks expensive.
Yeah. Just like the cast alone, probably the needle drop on the music rights, the production design, whatever. Like, just doing a period TV show is bad enough, but doing it on a streaming outlet. But Baz Luhrmann probably doesn't care. He's got so many things up his sleeve. He's a real busy filmmaker, and you still have to see Ballroom. What the fuck is it? Strictly Ballroom.
Strictly
there
Ballroom,
you go.
yeah.
You got to see that. That's great. Moving right along, though, I'm sure you couldn't miss this one, even though most of America's already forgotten about it. The Manchester bombing at the Ariana Grande concert, which really catapulted the rest of the news show, because it coincidentally not only happened the same day Roger Moore died, but also the day that Zack Snyder announced that his 20-year-old daughter killed herself in March when he was publicizing Justice League at CinemaCon. So, the Ariana Grande thing, for one thing, caused Warner Brothers and Universal to kill the London premieres for both The Mummy and Wonder Woman. But then, when you throw on this extra set of news, how bad it is, I believe the final count was 23 people died at this concert, an additional 50 were injured, and then assholes on the internet were making fun of it within hours of the reporting. I retweeted one from my personal account that Mark Bernardine went after. The guy later on deleted his tweet, but thankfully we all took screenshots and retweeted it, so he'll never live it down. His tweet was literally breaking. It was like breaking news: fatalities reported at Ariana Grande concert. If I had to go to one of her shows, I'd probably feel like I was dead too, or some shit like that. Within 2 hours of it being they didn't even have the death toll yet. And then this ass clown, he follows that up with another tweet that's like, for the longest time, I thought Ariana Grande was like a coffee at Starbucks or something like that. And then 3 hours later, sorry guys, I didn't know the gravity of the situation. Your tweet literally said fatalities.
I don't seriously there's people that want to be assholes on the I don't feel the need to defend common sense anymore.
It's
I'm
not
just so
even
jaded
that.
by it, but it's really just fucking just fuck that guy, man.
Yeah, he got. I think he's gonna have a hard time getting a job. He kind of outsources stuff.
Why the fuck does someone do that? I don't know.
I mean, I made jokes like that when I took that comedy writing class with Lane. This is weeks and months removed, but that
making
class
9/11
was
jokes
this
after it happened is one
this
thing,
isn't
but
that.
making fun of a tragedy right when it's happening.
This is exactly. This is right when it happened. But someone in that class did a Boston Marathon joke that was actually really good. But like I said, this was weeks later, where it was have you noticed that those mud runs, just those fun run activities, color runs, are getting more and more intense? Have you seen how they're trying to make people run in the Boston Marathon now? They literally had explosions at the finish line. I was like, oh, that was good. When he told us that one in class, it was a week after it happened. but I knew that the delivery was going to be so far
That's
removed.
still like, yeah.
Oh yeah, no, it was really
Everyone
bad taste.
probably had a too soon reaction, even if they were laughing.
No, I
in the comic
loved
book
it.
read
I
that.
was laughing so hard because I just think the way, like I said, most people have forgotten about this Ariana Grande thing. She kind of has. They're doing like a benefit concert in a couple of weeks or whatever. Like they're already doing more concerts in Manchester. The people there probably haven't forgotten, you know. But like we had this conversation back when the French thing happened, which most people have probably forgotten about.
Well,
And
which one?
exactly, and I
'Cause
had a
there's
tweet.
Paris and then there's Nice. Like,
It was the Paris one where I had like a Facebook update that said, I feel for the people in France, but to be honest, we're all gonna forget about this by the time Black Friday rolls around. And sure enough, that was true. Just we've become so desensitized to death in today's culture with how many of these situations occur. Like at the Phoenix Comic Con this week, someone was stopped who was carrying like a rifle or something. Like it seems like every day there's something, and this is from someone who doesn't actually read or watch the national news. I do strictly entertainment. I follow Variety and THR, Deadline Hollywood, Players, and yet these things still get into my newsfeed. And it's kind of like, how many more things are happening when I'm actually looking for them on CNN or Fox News and stuff like that?
it's oddly enough, I still think about these things, but then when I see people talking about it, on the news or just ranting about it and then having opinions on it,
You're like, shut the fuck up.
that's where I start to shut down and not care. Like it's like I stop feeling something the moment that someone which it really that's not the way that it should be at all. Like usually when we're talking about this, it should be to resolve things like this from happening, but it's fucking weird.
It's like
Yeah.
9/11 changed everything, and not just for the United States. Once a tragedy like that could happen, especially on United States soil, it almost became normalized that there no longer is this huge thing.
Well,
For
it's not
instance,
happened at that level since
Okay.
then, though. Thankfully.
True, but we'll use was it United? I don't even remember. The United Airlines guy that didn't want to give up his seat. That was the biggest, hottest news item for like a 24, 48-hour news cycle.
And then
now,
people realized, oh, maybe.
it doesn't
yeah.
actually mean anything because he's a doctor and it was a plane and he actually was flying, and a lot of people have never even been on a plane before. And it meant nothing. It literally meant nothing. And that guy got his 15 seconds, and I'm sure he's out of the hospital by now, and he's not forgotten about it. But maybe even with this shit going on, he's like, wow, 22 teenagers just died at a pop concert. Like, to imagine, Ariana Grande, I'm not a fan of her music. I've seen her acting. She's not good at that either. But if that's like your big favorite pop star and you go out to one of her concerts and some ass clown, some 22-year-old dude,
Just
set off a
ruins your
bomb,
fucking night. Yeah.
it ruins your life, actually. Either you lost an arm or you're dead or you can never listen to her music again or, like, God knows what. And you're probably sitting in your hotel room going, I should have got off the plane, huh? Oops. But, yeah, it's scary to think about. Like, I don't even want to know what kind of things are going to happen in this world when we stop doing the weekly news in 2 more episodes.
Well, you just got to keep living and keep working, man. Like,
Just keep living.
that's kind of what I'm doing. There's so many,
What's the saying? If you're not busy living, you're busy dying.
get busy living or get busy dying. Yeah, I mean, hey, there's so much shit that I'm concerned about, but there's too much to keep track of, and I literally have to keep myself busy and do what I want to do instead of just thinking about it all the time. It's like there's another saying where it's like you can be all theory and no action, or action and no theory, and I'd rather be the latter, honestly.
I like being in between. I like talking about things sometimes.
Like, you got to think about stuff, but I think if I think too much, I just wouldn't get anything done. Like, I'm more comfortable just doing stuff and making mistakes along the way, honestly, than just
Like
overthinking it and stressing stuff out.
These tragedies, the youth shootings, if they're black, or bombings or whatever, we seriously give it a week now, tops, and then no one cares.
It's just whatever Trump did again this time.
Yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
what did Donald Trump do? Like, how many people died today? What happened here? And it's weird. Like, I think these are the kind of things that makes me not want to report the news. Like, it's not the one reason. We went over this last week. It's just there's no end to a news cycle. The news keeps on going. There's there's no such thing as bad publicity. It's like, well, there is when we got to talk about these things on a weekly basis.
Well, I am more also just like, like with me, it's more like not necessarily talking about what's happening right now, but it's like what's worth talking about that can be accessed at any point in time. A topic that can last for a really long time.
Some of this episode, the remainder of it is in that territory. We'll move back to what I mentioned a second ago. As I stated, Zack Snyder and Deborah Snyder, the director and producer of the DC Extended Universe, they've stepped down from Justice League. It's in post-production. They already have an assembly cut. And what's interesting here, like I said, his daughter committed suicide. One of his 7 kids, mind you, between his 2 marriages. Back in March, she was 20 years old, college student, loved writing. And his initial response, as he feels such a strong urgency to deliver on this film, was literally after like a week of postponement on the production, was to go back to work. He went to CinemaCon. He cut a first trailer, like a real trailer, not that initial teaser.
Yeah.
He kept working. He kept on doing interviews leading up to Wonder Woman and shit. And after,
it's not a bad reaction at all.
No.
I mean, it's only human to think that that's going to work, but yeah.
But after about 3 months of working now, 2 months, he decided, I can't do this. It is troubling. I can't put my head in the sand and just try to work it off. Like, it's cathartic,
It's understandable, and I absolutely cannot imagine what that's like.
This is the worst part, though. The only reason he went public with this thing, and just the timing was so savage that, once again, this was the same day Roger Moore died, and this Ariana Grande situation. Like, it was hours between both of those things. The only reason he went public is he knew if the headline ran the way that some people actually ran it, which was Joss Whedon takes over for Zack Snyder on Justice League, that the internet would have went, oh wow, how fucking bad is this movie now? And people still said that, are still saying that,
that's
are
honestly,
going to say that.
I heard it from other people first, and they told it to me that way, where it was like, and they said, "Oh, just Zack Snyder's out," and it sounded like, holy shit, they just fired him.
Yeah.
Like it sounded like that bad out of nowhere. Like, oh my god, Warner Brothers is bowing down to fanboys. That
it's
like
I've
lost
news.
so much faith in that shit. Yeah, but then reading it's like, wow, no, that's
that
terrible.
is not the story.
Yeah,
that's a side of the story that literally Joss Whedon, who was in the process or had already written supplemental material for the movie just to pad it out more, make it more of an Avengers type thing, I would assume.
Well, it's funny too, actually, because you realize that by the time this comes out, Joss Whedon's going to be the only guy to have a directorial hand in
both of them.
Yeah, at this point, until Infinity Wars comes out, but
which is going to be a full summer after.
Yeah, even though this is still technically, Joss Whedon didn't really spend any time on set. He's going to reshoot some scenes, but
I don't think he's really reshooting. It's more like
filming.
On the script.
Like
it's filming some extra stuff, and then it's mostly going to be him editing the thing, which is more important, to be honest, than actually shooting the thing.
It's not like he's rewriting the fucking thing or something.
When you hand over directorial duties in post, you kind of are rewriting it. I mean, I know they have the skeletal...
But not like the script.
I'm
can't
sure...
redub over the scenes they've already shot.
ADR is pretty good, I don't know. But
there's probably going to be some.
They have this assembly, people have seen it, especially people on the board. They have an idea of the tone, and I'm sure they're not going to change it all the way, but when the husband and wife duo that is making all of these movies, excluding Charles Roven, are out of the picture now until probably the end of its production, I am kind of curious if we will get the cut in theaters, which I'm still curious about in terms of directing. Is it going to say directed by Zack Snyder and Joss Whedon, or is it just going to say... Like, how do they even phrase that? We'll find out.
Zack Snyder's getting credit no matter what.
Oh, of course he's getting credit.
That's a given.
But how do you break that down? And the real
Joss Whedon could get a co-director credit. I don't know.
Maybe. The real question, though, I want to know is, are we going to get the theatrical cut, which is going to be the quote-unquote Joss Whedon edit, and then later down the line, a home video, or when we get the Zack Snyder edit? Like a Richard Donner cut type situation.
Also, I don't know how long, Zack Snyder's going to be out of this, because between now and November, that's 6 months? Mm-hmm. I mean, he could come back around for the final 2 months of post-production for all we know, right when this thing's about to be out of the gate.
We'll see losing a kid is one of the worst things on the
Yeah,
planet.
it's just who knows,
And
but hey, he's done his job at this point, and hope that the movie turns out to be good. I really hate the thought that like if it sucks, maybe it'll be like people will say shit like, oh, he should have stayed on or whatever. I don't know. It's
no, the
this
story
is going to come back around though when
Of
it comes
course.
to the reception of the movie, unless people think it's amazing, and especially if people think it's amazing, then they'll like make it worse on him, which
he
fucking
literally
sucks.
only went public with this because he knew.
Just because of that, yeah. Because like,
he
how
knew.
else do you justify something like that?
You can read quotes on the THR piece, which is written just beautifully, where he says something like, I'm fully aware if I didn't let the public know, if I didn't let the fans know about this, that internet pieces would run with me stepping down. And
Oh, yeah.
I care too much about Justice League for that, Like, this is wild. People are going fucking crazy. I know this happened in your backyard at the Ritz, where only women can only watch the Wonder Woman movie.
Oh, God, that's nothing.
Of course, it's nothing.
No,
but
it's not even anything
that's,
here. It's one person on Facebook that wrote a negative comment, and then for some reason CNN reported on it like it was the end of the world. No one here cares.
Someone
Really, no one
fucking
here
cared.
cares.
Trust me, people on the internet care
It's
for
sold.
some reason.
It's sold out the day it was announced, so no one fucking cares.
I got
They
my
can
ticket.
have it.
I got my 3D matinee ticket in Cinemark XD.
Yeah, no,
I'm
I mean,
going.
no, that thing is like literally on a Tuesday, and it's one day only for like one showtime.
I got
Like
no clue.
that's it. It's just two showtimes that are half an hour apart. That's it. Like it's a nothing thing.
I'm just excited with having Baywatch be pretty much a flop, or belly flop if you want to get cute. Pirates is not tracking really well, and they already got like takedown pieces on the budget, $2 million in snacks and shit.
Yeah, Covenant fucking dropped this
big
weekend.
time. Like maybe Guardians did really well, but then at the same time, I think more
Guardians
people...
might not even break $1 billion. Like it's
No, it
probably
will.
gonna. Yeah.
No, it will. If
No,
Fast
no,
8
it's
just did.
Yeah, it might not. Honestly,
the
like
craziest
it's
thing-
floating close to finishing around 800 million worldwide, which is interesting.
The craziest thing about all this is that, Wonder Woman, because all of these have kind of been misses, has a much bigger chance of being a hit, because it could be like, especially since it's been a month since Guardians coming out now, that could be kind of the first big movie since then, which is awesome. But better than that, yesterday, Disneyland, or actually California Adventure, finally opened their Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout thing, the Tower of Terror 2.0. People are waiting 5 hours in line to ride that. The same week that this Manchester thing happened, so the people are getting bombed.
Mm-hmm.
And we have all these crises around the globe, and we have
People got to find escape, and they got to enjoy
presidents
themselves.
pushing the president of Montenegro and stuff. But would you go to California Adventure? You're paying $100
man.
to wait
People
in
got
line for
Disneyland
5.
passes, man.
Even if you have the Disneyland pass, how worthless is your time, meaningless is your life, that you will gladly wait 5 hours in line for something that doesn't last more than 10 minutes?
If you're in a group and you're socializing, like, hey, I mean, come on. If I think about it, I really have no interest in going, but there's people that flock over to Disneyland and they wait in the lines, and there's kids that like throw fits and stuff. They're just fidgety, and parents try to calm them down. There's fucking teenagers that just sit down in the line. They're on their cell phones or whatever. They're Snapchatting or they're doing whatever the fuck it is they're doing. People do that.
But
It's not unheard
these
of.
same people that wait in that line, I would reckon 70% of them wrote some kind of social media post about their Ariana Grande Manchester incident.
Okay. Why? Are you telling me that you know some that did?
No, I don't, but I would just reckon about
Don't
70%.
assume you know their reality, Brian.
I'm pretty sure I do. I think
Don't
a couple
assume
of
that you
days
do.
ago they were quote-unquote devastated, especially because they're fans of her music and they can't imagine that kind of thing happening at a concert they were at. And then like 3 days later they're like, oh, I can't believe I'm fucking at Disneyland now. Let me sit in line for 5 hours to ride this ride. And the fact
peaks and valleys, man.
the fact that Guardians 2 wasn't, I mean, yes, it beat the first movie both domestically and internationally, but it wasn't the breakthrough amazing hit the first one was at that kind of level. And yet these people, these Disneyland fanatics, these cult aficionados are willing to wait that long for a ride just so they can literally be in the know at its inception, when seeing it a year from now or 10 years from now, however long from now, it's not going to make a difference. Like, yes, it is the very first time that a Marvel entity has entered a Disney park, especially at an attraction level, and they have group face characters and shit like that. And I heard there's a Rocket animatronic in the hotel, which is supposed to be awesome. But when people care about that at this level,
I mean,
it's
it's
kind
new,
of
you know, it's not unheard of for
I
things
don't
like
care
this to
about
blow
it
up like that.
being new, but things literally were just blowing up, and I can't imagine the reality that the people that have
Plan their
attended now.
weekends out before this happened, you know. It's not like they're going to stop all of a sudden just to watch the news for that. You know, people need an escape from that shit.
At what
So they
point
went
is
for
the
it.
escape so much though? Like the ride is literally called Escape or Mission Breakout, same difference. I just
I
out
mean,
of all the
what do you
times,
expect from them, really?
I don't know. I'm not saying fucking put on a black shirt and never go to Disneyland again, but like when I think about how much I can get done in 6 hours, just in terms of this podcast,
Hmm.
it scrambles my brain. Like it makes sense why if we have this big an audience for this Disneyland attraction, if they're willing to wait just in line for
If
this kind
someone
of thing.
is waiting in line by themselves, then
I'm
you know
sure
that'd
that
be a
happened
situation.
too.
But this is family and friends. You know, they're
Maybe.
all out there socializing. Like when you wait in line with people, you tend to talk.
Yeah,
You
it
might talk
sucks.
to like the family that's like ahead of you. You know, a bunch of these people might even be from out of town. You know,
I'm actually pretty sure that
Um,
most of these people had their phones and probably a portable charger and just
that too.
were
You
on
know,
social
there's
media.
a lot more things happening in a line than people just standing there and literally dronelessly
Yeah, I don't care about the line.
just
I'm
waiting.
saying just I don't care about the amount of time, but literally when your fan base, these Marvel fans or Disneyland fans, they're the same thing now. If they're willing to wait that long in line for something that they don't know is good or bad, you know,
Hey, well, it's not every
it
day you're at Disneyland.
for these people it is every day. Most of them, by what you said, are probably the annual pass holders, so
Yeah.
it literally is every
Yeah,
day.
but I mean, they do have hotels there too. You know, a lot of people come from out of town to go
Not
there.
probably not for a ride like this. Like not maybe on the weekend.
You never know, man.
I don't know, but if these people are willing to wait this long for one attraction, because most of them probably waited in line, they did it, and then they left the park because they were so tired. It explains why people go so crazy, in my opinion, over these Marvel movies, because it's the same idea. I will wait countless hours on end, or weeks, or months, or years for this attraction. I don't care about how long it's going to take. I'm going to do it. I know I'm going to love it. They can't let me down. It's Disney. They have a great track record. I'm going to have a good time. I'll go with my friends. We'll all watch it together, and then we'll just forget about everything that's happened in the world while it's going on. And I don't know. I think I gave up on Disneyland or just amusement parks a while ago, and just how
I mean, they're a
ironic it
different beast
was.
entirely, man. But
Just how ironic it was, though, that in this same news week all these things happened, and more people in the United States probably cared about that ride opening than the actual travesties that are going on a daily basis. I understand our need for escapism. You know, we primarily review movies on this podcast, and yet, you know, I didn't feel necessarily interested in watching a movie when I was doing this reporting. It's like, wow, this is fucked up.
no,
Yes,
well, you got to enjoy stuff and pay attention to the harsh realities that are happening
Oh,
and
yeah,
appreciate what you got, man.
I went to a party last night. I got drunk for the first time in months. You know, I came to work hungover today. You know, I definitely had my share of escapism, but at the same time, it was like, I don't know. Would
It's
I
just
wait 5 hours in line to get into the party I went to last night?
you know what? Hey, I wasn't there. I wasn't at Disneyland. I wouldn't have gone because I honestly like
I don't have that kind of money laying around for one thing.
I'm. It's not even close to me at all. Yeah. Hey, that's that. I don't have kids either, so I'm not even thinking about it.
I didn't go to Disneyland until I was 7. I've maybe gone 4 times since then, and I'm probably gonna do the same thing to my kids. Like, oh, daddy, I want to go to Disneyland. I want to see the Marvel movies in person in the Star Wars land with the Avatar and
Yeah, I've only
and,
been
and
at-
Indiana
well-
Jones. I'm like, you're gonna have to wait until you're 7. I had to wait till I was 7.
Evidently, I've been to Disneyland 3 times in my life, but there's only two that I remember because one of them I was like 2 or 3 years old.
Hmm.
But yeah, last time I was there was more than 15 years ago. So actually, no, it was in the year 2000, so it was like 17 years ago. So
It was a long time ago.
yeah, that's that.
Yeah, the first time I went, it was like '99, I think it was. Um, but yeah, so getting back on track, I am excited about Justice League clearly, and
Yeah.
it's going to be interesting to see Joss Whedon's early introduction into the DCEU since he's already writing, directing Batgirl, which is probably in the middle of pre-production right now. Like I'm sure they've either got the script or it's almost done, and they're about to cast. Um,
Yeah,
so
sorry, Zack Snyder.
I am curious if because they've said very firmly that Wonder Woman is not going to have post credits thing. They are not doing the Marvel thing.
Hmm.
Well, time will tell on that. They could have a surprise, kind of like Logan or Deadpool, where you do get this extra thing, but only the fans are allowed to see it because that's becoming a trend, and I like that. And so I don't know if Wonder Woman's going to get them, but now that Joss Whedon is kind of in control of Justice League, I would have to imagine that one's going to have something. I want at least one, maybe a Batgirl tease, like anything. I don't know. I was talking about earlier in the week. Maybe if Green Lantern's not in the movie, he gets some kind of tease.
I am a fan of the fact that these movies have all been self-contained thus far, for the most part.
Not Suicide Squad. They had the post-credit sequence with Ben Affleck.
Yeah, but well, that was mid-credits, but
Well,
that's about
whatever.
it. Still, for the most part, it is pretty much self-contained. The movie as a whole, like, there's nothing setting it up during the movie, really.
We'll find out.
Yeah.
Getting staying dark though, especially Justice League. And speaking of Justice League Dark, Doug Liman's abandoned that project, which has been in trouble for about a decade now. It was a Guillermo del Toro movie, and then he left. And we all know how his movies are kind of made. Basically, if he doesn't write it, he doesn't get to make it. But this isn't really a surprise given that Doug Liman also abandoned Gambit earlier this year, and that film is also very troubled. I don't even know if they still have Channing Tatum. It's not on Fox's calendar anymore. What he's
It was
chasing
supposed to come out
instead,
this year, too, wasn't it?
yeah, it was supposed to come out last year, I think, actually. But what Doug Liman's chasing now is Chaos Walking, which is going to star Tom Holland and Daisy Ridley. So yeah, maybe that's a smart bet. Yeah, that sounds like a really good cast, and who knows where that could be. Young up and coming blockbuster stars. And it's exciting too because Tom Holland must be really good at Spider-Man because Sony just tapped him to play a young Nathan Drake in their largely anticipated Uncharted franchise starter. The idea here is instead of attempting to adapt the first video game, Drake's Fortune, into a movie, which was always the case, whether that was the Mark Wahlberg version or maybe the Dan Trachtenberg version or how many other versions they've had, but they're completely getting rid of the script they have now. Sorry, your boy Joe Carnahan is going to have to toss that one away. Maybe they'll use it in the future. And instead, this movie is going to kind of play with the chronology. It's going to be inspired by number 4, where you have flashbacks to how Nathan met his kind of tutor, his teacher, Sully, and also in Uncharted 4, which isn't in any of the news pieces I read because of course people that report on the news for movies don't play video games, even the ones that talk about how bad adaptations of video games are when they're movies. But Uncharted 4 actually introduces Nathan Drake's brother, Sam Drake. And you also have some whatchamacallit, some flashback sequences when you're a kid. So that's actually the beginning of the timeline for the series.
You know who should play Nathan Drake?
Tom Holland.
And I'm not even kidding. Not you said young, but you know who should actually play him? Andrew Garfield.
No.
Fuck yeah.
Fuck no.
You know why?
No, I don't know why.
You tell me you don't know why? Spider-Man and Spider-Man. Come on.
No, I don't want. I don't want that.
I want that.
I really kind of don't want Tom Holland. I mean, I'm curious what this is gonna be like. I do like this idea of starting the franchise and letting him grow with the franchise, kind of like what they're doing with Spider-Man, what they
I
allowed
think
Daniel
this,
Craig to
even
do
if
with
he's
James
not
Bond.
a big name yet, I think it's a guarantee now that this is actually probably going to happen.
Oh, this is
if he's
definitely
already
happening
cast.
now. Yeah,
Like now it's actually
yeah.
moving forward.
He's
which,
cast.
For fucking years we've been hearing about this, and
Like a decade, to be honest.
I remember back when fucking David O. Russell was
Yeah,
signed on to like do
with
an
Mark
Uncharted movie, and
Wahlberg
then
and Robert
he
De
had a
Niro and Joe
synopsis that was
Pesci.
nothing at all about the movie, or I'm sorry, nothing at all. Like
Yeah,
had
they
nothing
turned
to
it
do with the game. It
into
was like some family trauma, and it
yeah,
was
they made it like a mafia family drama or some
and it
shit.
was like now you. He's
I was
like,
still
hey, I got
excited.
this script called American Hustle. Can I make that and call it Uncharted? It's like sure. No, that
Almost happened.
wasn't at all what it turned out to be.
This is interesting though, because he is a younger actor. I think he's 20, 21. Like he is on the lower side of the spectrum. And
Yeah.
so if you cast him as this like 17-year-old Nathan Drake, it wouldn't be coming out for like another 2-3 years. You know, he's got a real busy schedule. When that finally comes out, based on the success, they're going to know if they're going to greenlight it. Then it's going to take another 2 years to film it. By that time, he's going to be like 25. Then he can play like a 21-year-old, and then like maybe make one movie. And then if they play with the chronology, they could easily do. If they're doing the background stuff between 3 and 4, like in the flashback, then they could do a Golden Abyss movie. After that one, they can do Drake's Fortune, and then they can do 2 Among Thieves. They can do Drake's Deception, and then eventually they can do Uncharted 4. And then they have another one coming out in August, even though it doesn't feature Nathan Drake at all. At least we're led to believe it doesn't. And so if they're able to build these side characters like Nadine Ross and Chloe Sullivan and Sully and Elena and all these characters, then yeah, they could get their spin-offs, which is what Sony's already doing. Matter of fact, they got a director, or a writer-director actually, for their Silver Sable Black Cat movie, which has a really good title. It's called Silver and Black. And it's someone that we're familiar with and who kind of actually knows our show, like Joe Carnahan. Oh wait, where is it? It's going to be Gina Prince Bythewood, or Bythewood. We still never decided how that's pronounced. The director of Love and Basketball, among other things.
Yay.
So the internet loves this because, hey, they like checking boxes. Not only is it a female director, just like Wonder Woman, but it's a black female director, guys. Isn't that exciting? Don't we all care? We're gonna get a black woman.
She's a good director. Come on.
That's
like,
the news item, yeah.
Yeah, she's fucking talented. Okay, she can make good shit.
What's interesting is she directed Freeform's Cloak and Dagger pilot a couple months back, so she's already written some comic book stuff. I don't know if this is the right pick. I've only seen one of her movies. I really enjoyed
Yeah.
it. She's a really good director, but maybe since this is like an urban movie and it's girls and there's some heists going on, I don't know, and Spider-Man's not going to be in this at all. It's like a separate entity, even though Sony owns the rights to the character, so it's not MCU. I didn't read a lot of the articles on this, but I wonder if they said something like, following Tim Story's Fantastic Four franchise, and then whatchamacallit, Wonder Woman, now we have this, and I can't believe, like, did Sony hire her because of the color of her skin and her XY chromosome?
Dude,
I think
I don't know,
I
man.
think that's what it is, to be honest. Like, and I hate that idea. I really do.
I don't want to assume it every single time that a minority filmmaker is hired to work on a project now, like, because it seems like every single time that happens, then that becomes part of the conversation. It's either, yay, they're getting work, or are they getting work because of, like it's been said before, is not being racist the new racism?
It really is. Like, Patty
Yeah.
Jenkins is getting a ton of media credit right now.
But it's stupid,
she's
because if we
kicking ass.
complain about something, then we find something new to complain about. Like, that's how good we have it, you know?
Yeah, I guess.
I
we're
mean,
lucky
I'd
there.
rather decide on the fact that it's like, you know what, we got a talented filmmaker who, as far as I know, has made one really damn good movie, and there's no reason that they can't work and make another good one.
Yeah, I heard her Fox show that just finished its first season is really good too, and then she has apparently 2 other really good movies also that maybe we'll have to check out in the future. But yeah, Love and Basketball, guys. If you've never seen it, we got Jet to Cinema on it. It's awesome. The movie's even better, even if Steve doesn't 100% like the way it ends.
I don't. I still think it's a great movie, but yeah.
It's an awesome movie. Awesome sports movie. So yeah, good luck to her. I hope she doesn't ditch it, because, hey, comic book movies have a really bad track record of that. I mentioned The Mummy for a second when I said it got canned. It's not going to have a London premiere. Universal still was able to announce a ton about their cinematic universe, which has a title now, mind you. It's called Dark Universe, which is not good. I prefer the Universal Monsters universe, to be honest. Which includes Bride Frankenstein having a release date now. That's coming Valentine's Day 2019. Great date to release that film. Bill Condon is going to direct it, who just came off Beauty and the Beast, so he's got a big name right now. People don't know his name 100%. And then alongside this, they premiered the first cast photo, which included Javier Bardem, who plays Frankenstein, Johnny Depp as Invisible Man, Russell Crowe, who is Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, Tom Cruise, who I think his character's name is Nick Morton, and then Sofia Boutella, who is the eponymous mummy. You see them all on set, really pretty picture. And then they also showed a Dark Universe like intro reel, which Danny Elfman did the scoring for, which actually sounds really awesome. The clip that I saw is available on YouTube. It's like 3 minutes long. I don't think that's actually going to play before the movie, but kind of wish it does.
It shows all the classic movies.
Yeah, it's a really awesome supercut that goes.
I'm sure
like,
Alamo's going to show it.
It's like they do Phantom of the Opera, Wolfman, Invisible Man, Creature from Black Lagoon, The Mummy. They even do like some Abbott and Costello stuff. But the way they cut it, it makes it seem even spookier or scarier than those classics actually are.
It's like I've seen it. It's funny because it's one of those things where they basically use modern trailer editing techniques, and they do it seamlessly with old clips,
it's really
as opposed
good.
to it feeling like, it's just music tossed in and then you got a clip in the background. But also, it's funny, they're able to actually do that easily because there's very little sound in those. So it's like it's when you think about it, there's no score in the backgrounds of those old films, so it's kind of cut out there for them. But it was a well edited clip.
It gave me goosebumps. It made me kind of feel excited. Maybe not about Mummy in particular, but this Dark Universe.
If it happens, honestly, like, what if Mummy tanks?
It's not going to matter. They got so much star power on this thing between Tom
really
Cruise, Johnny Depp, and Javier
not convinced that
Bardem.
it's going to do well. Like, I really don't see the appeal of it.
I think they should have never showed any trailers, which I know is like close to impossible in today's media culture.
It's impossible, yeah. No. I saw the trailer and like how you were afraid of what they were going to do with Russell Crowe, but that's pretty much how it's being set up.
Yeah.
So.
I really hate that they're basically doing the Godzilla thing. Let's make this corporation that has some kind of say in what's going on with these monsters, and they're the one doing it. And it's just like the laziest way of doing the Nick Fury thing in Iron Man 2, to be honest. And I really hoped that they would keep Charles Dance from Dracula Untold, but with the latest news on Dark Universe, that's 100% gone now. Unless they do a surprise switcheroo, which I still have my fingers crossed for. If not during The Mummy, then maybe in a later one, which could be Bride of Frankenstein. I want them to bring back Luke Evans. I want to see Charles Dance. I want that to still be part of this franchise. Because otherwise, hey, they still haven't cast Dracula, and he is the main fucking monster in this universe. He is the draw. He's the one that people actually care about. So,
and I do like how they actually set him up in Dracula.
It was
Untold,
good.
even if that wasn't that great a movie.
The movie wasn't good, but I truly loved how they brought that into the modern day, which all of these films are going to take place in. The Charles Dance Nick Fury character was actualized and really, really good, especially because he's not on Game of Thrones anymore.
The best scenes in that whole movie are with him.
Yeah, and then I really liked just the final 20 minutes when they went from, is this a fairy tale from folklore, or is this something that really happened? And they kind of do this really cool thing going on in it, even if the movie is kind of not great.
Yeah.
But even still, the CG is cool. Some of the effects work is awesome. Just the battle sequences, maybe that fight in itself isn't good, but the way it's set up, the way that they make this Slavic region look, and like this whole story of Vlad the Impaler, which is more important almost than the actual Dracula mythos that they're building on. I liked it. I dug it, and
I enjoy it well enough.
We'll see if The Mummy can live up to that, or if it's worse. We don't know.
I can tell you one thing. I was trying to make a segue there. Do you want to know what the pick is going to be next week for Death to Cinema?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, because you're going to hate me for it because you've already seen it.
How bad could it be? What is it?
It's The Mummy.
Oh yeah, you haven't seen the Brendan Fraser Mummy.
I have not.
No, I don't mind.
Yeah, and I am gonna.
I haven't seen that first one in a while. I don't mind.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Because I was gonna say, I feel like there's a lot of talking points that can actually be there, and that's without even me seeing it yet. So.
It's a real good movie.
Yeah, I know you really wanted to see the Universal Monsters one, but
No, not really. No.
I think I'd rather just see what a closer to, even if it's almost 20 years old, it's just the state of contemporary blockbusters and how much they've shifted. I really want to look into that.
They haven't. That movie fits right in with the kind of blockbusters they make now. The only difference is that that's a period. It's a period piece. It's 1930s.
Well, yeah, and also, I mean, there's I don't know, there's like a lot of things that could be talked about there too. Just in general, I got a few talking points on my sleeve, but yeah, we'll get to that.
I like the concept of them literally setting that reboot within the Times era that the original film franchise debuted. Like that's it's a really cool concept. I do like that.
Right.
This is the part where we do our supporter roll call because all of this is actually we do it for free. We do it for you. We don't have commercial breaks except we'd like to. If you want to sponsor us, even though this show's ending, you could sponsor our other shows instead. But we do have a supporter. Her name is Evelyn. She backs us with $5 a month on Patreon. She's very gracious. And for that $5, not only does she get our ear anytime she wants to talk to us, on top of that, she actually gets show notes for everything we do on 2 cents. So when we're done here, I'm going to post this for her, and she can read it instead of having to listen to it. I don't know why she would want to do that, but she can. She has that choice. If you want to see the kind of things that you can do to support our content, patreon.com/dollarreviews. Some of them are jokey. I'm going to change them around, but you do get perks. It could be something as easy as getting episodes early when we actually finish them before time. The show notes, as I said, being able to pick a show of your choosing for Debt to Cinema, coming on the show. Maybe you want to be interviewed. You got a script that you want some feedback on? We can read that because we don't do a good job of mentioning it, especially on this show. But the reason why you're supposed to care about us, other than us having good opinions and whatnot, is that we went to film school. We are graduates. We've worked in the industry in some capacity, and we watch enough movies that if you're trying to make a movie, we might be able to help you out there.
True story. I have people come to me for scripts for feedback.
Hey, there you go.
And I've given them comments and had a lot of drinks and worried that I come off as an asshole. That's just telling them that their thing is not that good yet. But yeah, hey,
if you want
to, I don't have an end to that sentence. That's really good. But yeah,
literally, there's stuff ranging from we will pitch your product on our show to we'll have a Skype date with you, or like I'll go to Goodwill, find some movies, and send them your way. There's lots of things, and it would help us out because $5 is awesome. $10 would be a lot better. That would pay. Well, it would almost pay for my Wonder Woman ticket.
Is that a Patreon reward that says Ryan will go to Goodwill and do a mystery pick for you or something?
It says something like that. Yeah, I think it's like $15 a month, and it says like you get show notes. I'll follow you on Twitter. You can pick a show. You can pick a movie, and then it says I'll send you something, and it says like video games from the last 10 years. Liquor store DVDs or something like that. But essentially, I wrote it before I started going.
Throw in a handwritten note in there explaining why you're sending it to them.
I think that it's on there. I think it's I think nice. One of the things is like it could be some artwork I made. Like it's a joke, but it's real. So we're all over the internet. Before we continue the show, I don't know where you're listening, but you can find us there also. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, WordPress, Tumblr, any of those great things. If you could follow us, like us, retweet, whatever want to do, it would really go a long way because we can only do so much to get an audience, and our audience helping us get a larger audience is part of that equation. But you can also listen to us directly: Google Play Music, iTunes, Podcast, Stitcher, TuneIn, YouTube, SoundCloud. If you search for Dollar Views, we're going to find us. If you search for Debt to Cinema, you're really going to find it. And talking of, one of the shows that we do is Debt to Cinema. That's our List of Shame show that we talked about just a little bit here right now. Basically, either one or both of us have never seen something. We check it out every week. We try to stay topical, like Steve said. Next week is going to be The Mummy. This week is Wong Kar-wai's In the Mood for Love. Not necessarily because of Khan, but hey, that worked too. It was more like we just saw a Chinese movie. I want to see another one. We did Infernal Affairs this past week. Really good. Check it out. Maybe better than Departed. You can decide on your own.
No, it's too bold there.
I don't know. I said maybe. But yeah, we've done a lot. We're about 90 episodes on that one. And then our other show is Dollar Reviews, where we do recent reviews for movies, sometimes TV, but usually movies, sometimes video games. But like once again, usually movies. Whether that be a blockbuster, a little indie thing, something only on streaming, it doesn't matter. We try to watch everything. Moving on with the show, here's some follow-up on things that happened recently. You see how I did that? I did headlines first this week, because, hey, that's how it's supposed to be. Annapurna is still fucking white hot. I don't know what's going on with them, but it's happening. They just entered a multi-year deal for distribution with Entertainment One, a.k.a. one of the members of Amblin Partners. And they're going to take them where MGM can't, which includes Canada, Spain, New Zealand, Australia, and the UK. So now between Entertainment One, MGM, their own distribution that they've set up this year for Detroit, like they're becoming a mini major. They're like the new Lionsgate now. All they need is a franchise, which I don't think they're going to want to do because that's kind of not the movies they make. But if they could land one, we were talking the other week about James Bond, perhaps,
Yeah.
fuck, they would be huge. Like, they already have a really great way. Like, Megan Nelson knows a good movie when she sees it, and she knows how to produce that shit and distribute it now.
Well, it's funny, especially with franchises, they are very filmmaker friendly, and the Bond franchise lately has been quite a filmmaker friendly franchise.
It's
Or at
really
least it
just
seems
one
like the
guy.
prospects have been getting there since Sam Mendes has been at the table.
Just
but then,
Sam Mendes.
But yeah, then there's been a lot of talk of, trying to get Nolan in there, even though I don't
wouldn't
think
do it.
that'll happen.
I think Catherine
He
Bigelow,
wants to do it, but I think it's partly he might be too high above their pay grade, and
I think he
I don't know,
has.
they've talked about it.
No, I think he has blockbuster fatigue after doing the Batman movies and then Inception, and now look at Dunkirk. If I were him, I'd want to do a small movie, to be honest. But
I don't even know how big Dunkirk is going to
it's
be.
fucking huge. Look at the production scale with the boats and the beaches and
I
the
have
and
not
the
seen anything,
planes.
honestly.
Just in terms of actors alone, you know what the head count is? Like, it's fucking asinine. Like, this is trying to be like the big spectacle of the summer that it's an original idea. Like, when you pair that with World War II making a comeback with Call of Duty coming out this November, it's gonna, like, it's even people that don't know the name Christopher Nolan, they're just gonna go, oh, it's the guy that directed Interstellar and Batman Begins. Yeah, I'm fucking there, dude. Like, it's gonna make a ton of money. And if it doesn't make a ton of money, it's gonna get a lot of awards. If it doesn't get a lot of awards, then internet's gonna love it. Like, there's no lose in this situation. Warner Brothers gonna have a hit on their hands.
Dude, the internet's going to love it anyway because it's Christopher Nolan. They love everything that he does.
That's not true. A lot of people don't like Insomnia.
Okay, well,
A lot of people, including me, don't like Dark Knight Returns.
you mean Rises.
Yeah, whatever, Rises.
Yeah, Dark Knight Returns is actually a good movie, according
I
to
still
a lot of
don't know.
people.
I read the thing. I'll watch it eventually. I think I'd rather read it again than watch it. It's one of those. Like,
Yeah.
I've only read it twice. Maybe I'll read it one more time before doing that. Because I did that with Year One, which also wasn't a bad adaptation. The animation was fairly good, but not as good as the book. It's like,
Well, hey, if he makes a movie better than fucking, what is it, Battle of Britain, then hey, I don't know, maybe like Dunkirk, I don't know. I'm just not jazzed about a war movie right now.
well, talking about Battle of Britain, we got one that's kind of like that. Roland Emmerich is making a World War II movie. It's going to be called Midway. It's going to be Battle of the Midway. The important thing to note here, like I said, this is follow-up, is that China's Bona Film Group is going to be producing and distributing it. So I wonder two things. A, is Wanda going to be involved? And B, is it going to get an IMAX release? And the answer to both of those is yes, a fucking of course. So this is technically a Wanda movie. This is a big get for them because maybe Roland Emmerich doesn't have the best track record with critical circles. But in terms of China box office, international box office,
Just, he knows how to hit the audience sweet spot for
he knows how
entertainment.
to film something that blows up really well,
That too.
Like, you like seeing his movies, and not because you're thinking during them, like 2012 or Independence Day, like these kind of
No, like
movies.
there is skill to making destruction not just look cool but feel cool. Like, I said this in San Andreas, and I actually appreciated Roland Emmerich a lot more when I realized, no, it actually takes skill to create that experience and just give you the impact of that. Where San Andreas had had some cool visual effects in there, but you never felt the destruction, really.
I need to go back and listen to that San Andreas episode because I know for a fact I went on and on and on about why is this auteur theory shit? Why isn't Brad Payton get a film by Brad Payton shit happening? But now
That was brought up. But
now
yeah,
he definitely gets that, even though he's only made like 2 movies since then, which is crazy to
Oh
think
yeah,
about.
no, it's
Rampage is going to say
fuck,
from
that
the
thing is-
director of San Andreas.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, God, that episode is so old. I don't even want
Mm-hmm.
to think about it. And like, it's yeah.
I'll listen to it again soon.
That's real. Fuck the old stuff. Like, I don't know. I tried listening to the Entourage episode, and I was like, oh my God, were we always this boring? Like, I don't know. It just maybe I was just more awkward over the mic because it was difficult to like have a conversation that I could feel like I was in a comfortable space in.
I don't know. I'm in a very
Yeah,
comfortable
for me
space.
anyway.
I got a new computer chair. This one's made out of leather. It actually rocks back and forth, which is
I
nice.
am in a completely different place now than I was then,
And
literally.
I literally got this chair for $1, which is awesome. Which is awesome. I mean, it's not a three
Thought it
dollar.
was $3.
No. I have a $3 recliner. This is a new chair I
Oh.
got this week that I got for $1. Probably literally costs originally cost more than my recliner did, just because it's nice leather. It's real. Why would
When you
someone
get
get rid
your
of
own
this?
apartment, you're just gonna have a field day at Goodwill, aren't you?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. The worst part about getting this chair was that I had to throw away my original computer chair, and I found that thing in front of a dumpster some like 6 years ago, and so it's the only computer chair I've really ever had, like actual like swivel chair with armrests, and the process of like disrobing that one and throwing it in a dumpster was really cathartic. I hated it. I wanted to keep it. Like it wasn't at the very least I wanted to leave it on the curb like I found it so someone else could take it off my hands and get a free chair. But I was like, no, I guess not. Like I'll decide not to do that today. Moving right along with follow up though, this one isn't necessarily something that we've talked about before, maybe in passing, and it's a follow up because of how it relates to the oeuvre of Amazon Prime, which I was hinting at for the last couple episodes. Steven Soderbergh, he's Logan Lucky. He just got the trailer, which came out yesterday, I believe now. I haven't seen it. I'm not going to. I'm just going to see the fucking thing, and I'm not going to pay to see it because it's got exclusive first run rights on streaming on Amazon Prime, which totally makes sense because, they like their directors. The real cool thing here, though, is that it's also going to be the beginning of Amazon working with Fingerprint Releasing, which is Soderbergh's distribution company, and they're going to help them expand production and also market their films for theatrical releases. So essentially, they just became like the pimp for Soderbergh's distribution company. All of his movies now are going to get a much bigger push, especially online. They're going to have, I would assume after this one, first run rights on Amazon, even though they're not Amazon exclusives. And then this is only a matter of time, probably, until either Amazon snatches, what's that show called? Forget the name of the Cinemax show that just got canceled. I would have to imagine if he has a working relationship with them. The something, yeah.
The Knicks?
Yeah, the Nick.
The Knicks, yeah.
Which I saw the pilot of.
Not the basketball team, no.
No, not the Knicks, the Nick. Which is about a hospital drama. If you don't like the sight of blood, you're not into gore, don't watch that show. You'll fucking hate it. I felt queasy, and I like that kind of stuff. Great acting on that show, from what I saw. Real interesting. Turn of the century, just medical drama. Check it out. But yeah, they got canceled. So maybe, Logan's his first movie in like 4 or 5 years. Maybe he doesn't want to jump back into directing again. But I don't think he finished his story on the Nick. He directed every single episode of that. Maybe he will actually make that on Amazon. I think that's something to keep tabs on. We won't be doing that, but if you're out there listening, maybe you want to.
I mean, hey, he might, I remember for part of his retirement, he did he had
retirement.
Or not
His retirement from film.
directing, yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna paint.
But
I'm gonna do TV.
I don't know, he had some sort of statement on there. I can't remember what it was, but he said something about dealing with the bullshit of trying to get stuff made, and it's a different time now. Like if he can go to Amazon and get something made without any creative compromises, he might jump back into directing for all we know.
It's like Woody Allen said something this week or last week about how fucking horrible like the distribution companies have been to work with, which I don't think he actually meant because he has a really good relationship with Sony. And then also on top of that, he also said something like, okay, well, not Amazon, they're awesome, type of thing. Mm-hmm. And so everyone, Spike Lee, like Steven Soderbergh already has a relationship with Red Oaks at Amazon, I believe. Was he on that? I want to say
that's David Gordon Green.
It's David Gordon Green and someone else though. It's two people. Let me see.
Yeah, I don't think it's Steven Soderbergh though.
Let me see.
Or Soderbergh. I never pronounce his name right.
Let me look. Some movies are really fucking weird. He has this one called Timeline where it's split into 4 quadrants and they play out in real time and the characters cross back and forth and it's done in one continuous take. It's like early digital filmmaking that I've tried to watch before. Really weird. This is like right after he made his Ocean's 11 money. Mm-hmm. He's like, oh, I'll try something really weird.
He has a lot of experimental stuff. But I've never seen anything from him that I've been wowed by. You know, he's just,
Ocean's 11's pretty good. I don't know.
it's good, but I've never been wowed by it. Like, it's an entertaining movie.
Yeah, it's not Soderbergh, but who else was it? Because I know it's not just David Gordon Green. Like, there's someone else. Let's see. Maybe I'm just thinking in terms of directors. No, he's the executive producer. I was right.
Really?
Yeah. So he already had a relationship with Amazon Studios in terms of making TV. So
Never mind.
there you go. He could easily do some more TV for them. Totally see that, especially if he's making movies with them now, or rather, Amazon's making movies with him. But let me check now because I know there's like Amy Heckerling directed several episodes.
Yeah.
And then Hal Hartley, but the real one I was looking for was Amy Heckerling. Can't wait for that final season. I love that. That's like I don't really
Next
watch.
year or this year, right? I know there's supposed to be one more at the very least.
I don't
so.
think it's going to be this year unless they surprise later on because it's kind of a summer show. You're supposed to watch it in the summer.
It came out in the winter last year, didn't it?
You know, because last year was weird, but it's like the show is literally about summer vacation.
Yeah, that's when they made up.
Like I don't know. Well, I'm excited about that final season though.
Yeah.
Here's a real follow-up, though, into the opposite side of the spectrum, not Amazon, Netflix. Ellen DeGeneres is coming back to stand-up after 15 years since her last special. She's arguably even more famous now, especially because of her daily talk show.
Yeah.
And, of course, if she's making a return to comedy, it's going to be at Netflix. So now they have everyone who's anyone. They don't have many good movies, but they have lots of good comedy. Amy Schumer, Chris Rock, Dave Chappelle, fucking Seinfeld. Jim Gaffigan. I don't even know how many other people because it's too many.
Kevin Hart.
If you can think of a top billing comedian, they've got a special at Netflix, or they're gonna have a special on Netflix, or they have two of them. In the case of Chris Rock or Seinfeld, or Dave Chappelle, it's almost crazy to think about. It's the perfect entity for comedy on any level, whether that be stand-up or just like a little TV show like Kimmy Schmidt, and I don't think anyone can compete now. Even though HBO was the king of comedy for a long time, they just can't compete just in terms of production, how expensive that is for HBO, that they're better off just doing serialized TV since they're one of the only people still doing that. Like more and more cable outlets are willing to do the binge model or the day early model for digital or whatever, and that's kind of all they've got left. It's like there might have been that almost joke of a headline this week where the AT&T chairman said, we're experimenting with making HBO shows 20 minutes long so you can watch them on your phone. I don't think that's real. I think it's actually going to be more like they're going to produce shows that are only 20 minutes long so you can actually watch them quick. Not cut Game of Thrones down to a third of its runtime. That's ridiculous. Even if you focused on only one character from an episode, which, would be like 20 minutes instead of the full hour, you wouldn't want to do that. That would probably suck.
You know what they might do with future shows is that they might at least frame it in a way that you can watch it on your phone with that fucking tilt.
You talking about tilt and scan?
Yeah, not at tilt and scan. Just they frame it in a way so that you can crop it out easily, but then you still got the wide information to put out there on TV. So
or tilt and scan.
Yeah, they might do that. They might make it available that way by framing it for it at least.
I still think they're going to do something.
I could see that happening.
They're going to do something real smart when this merger happens or before the merger happens. It's much in the same way that if you have AT&T and you have a specific plan, you get HBO Go for free, or HBO Now rather. If they did something like this Game of Thrones spinoff, because there's like 6 of those in the work right now, if they made one of those exclusive to AT&T subscribers, they would have so many more subscribers, and that wouldn't be an issue because they would still have like 4 or 5 other spin-off shows at the same time. And it's just like if you're a completionist, you want to see all of them. Potentially, you pick your best one as the exclusive. You would get so many more people.
Fuck Disneyland. I'd rather watch all of Game of Thrones.
Yes, to be honest, like, oh my god, like people would go crazy about it because they wouldn't care at that point in the time. By that point, like the digital exclusive idea is going to be such a championed entity, like in the millennial just lifespan, where I like House of Cards, that's why I have Netflix, or I like this, that's why I have Amazon, and it's going to get to that point where it's going to be like, well, I like Game of Thrones, that's why I have AT&T. It's the logical step. It's gonna make a lot of sense. This is a follow-up that I'm not excited about. Rosario Dawson, who's a big actress, just in general, she's a great actress,
Yeah.
but especially in Marvel circles, between her many appearances on the Netflix shows for the MCU, is jumping across the spectrum to Marvel at Fox, and she is rumored to be starring as the Professor Xavier character in their New Mutants film, which is coming next year and is shooting in July. Has a good cast already. They got Anya Taylor-Joy. They got Maisie Williams of Game of Thrones fame. So, hey, it's really cool. They got a multicultural girl cast. That's awesome. I really hope this isn't true, though.
You know what? If it is, I don't hate it.
I don't hate it
mean,
either. She's a great actress, but
honestly, like, to me, Patrick Stewart is the guy. You know, that's just such an iconic role at this point that it's so difficult to separate. But once you have once you have perfected a character like that, as far as I'm concerned, then you're free to experiment or just do anything that you want that's different, just to try something else. Because I'm cooler with that, honestly, than them just hiring some other guy and making him bald and trying to.
well, this is like
Make
a
him a lot like
completely
the guy.
different character. It's just this is going to be the steward for this, super powered group, the one that gives them, nuggets of wisdom and teaches
I'm
them
cool with
along the
that.
way. I'm just not happy
I really don't
about
mind that.
them taking someone who is so. It's the same exact thing that they literally just did with Josh Brolin, going, "Oh, you're Thanos at the real Marvel movies? Why don't you come make our Marvel movie? You can be Cable and Deadpool." And now they're doing something very similar. Like Rosario
Because of the
Dawson.
Daredevil
Yeah,
thing.
well, no, she's on Daredevil. She's on Luke Cage. She's also on Jessica Jones for a little
She's
bit.
the
I
same
think.
character in all those.
Yeah,
but,
she's the same character. She has a thread. I think she's appearing in the Defenders in a couple of months. Like she's probably the biggest actress in that TV universe that they have.
Yeah.
And just like I said, just like James Brolin, I'm Josh Brolin going, yeah, we want you. And I would have to assume
I
now,
really-
because
I
New
don't mind
Mutants
that
and
at all.
Deadpool 2 are going to be related in some way, then they're probably going to appear next to each other. And I would hope that they have some kind of joke like, haven't I seen you somewhere before? Like something stupid like that, just because.
In the case of Deadpool,
Yeah, Deadpool,
absolutely,
not
that's
New
going to be there.
Mutants. Yeah.
Especially because it's going to be months apart. But yeah, I don't mind it, especially for the reasons that you seem to have issue with it.
I don't
no,
necessarily have issues.
Well, no, you brought it up last time, and you were
It's
just like, yeah,
it's-
no, there's no way to do that. I'm like, I'm cool with it.
You can cast.
honestly.
There are more actors out there, is my thing. And
True.
especially unknowns, and which is fairly the case for New Mutants thus far. The two actors we have now.
Whenever people cry foul in casting, it's usually rectified if the role ends up being that good, if they end up being that good in it. So, unless it just becomes blatantly obvious that it's the wrong choice while you're watching it, then that's when it becomes an issue. But hey, for now, I'll take their word for it.
I got nothing against the choice. It's just almost feels lazy. Like they have a list of all the people that have appeared in the DC and Marvel movies thus far, and they go, well, who else can we cast? And like, DC's not innocent either.
Really good agent. I don't know.
Like them putting Brandon Routh as the Atom on their TV franchise when he was Superman, which they've joked about several times on episode. But at the same time, we're like, well, he was your fucking Superman, like the failed Superman. But then that's part of his character as the Atom, that he's kind of like this superhero, but he's like a failed doctor type of thing. It's like, okay, that's kind of, I get it.
Yeah.
But just weird. Last little follow-up thing, this is probably something that you probably completely forgot about, because I kind of did until it resurfaced this week. Just ahead of E3, Microsoft has relaunched their Twitch competitor Beam as Mixer now. It has a couple of features that stand apart from YouTube gaming and Twitch, in that you're allowed to do 4-way multi-stream. So say you're playing some kind of party game with your 3 friends, instead of having to go to an external website that hosts all 4 at the same time, the 4 of you could be streaming together in the same stream, essentially. And that, allows for Brighton Horizons maybe having crossover fandom or audiences, as well as just making it a more unified experience and more not culturally, but more communal. They're also looking for fully integrated game coding, which is something that Twitch is doing too. They have a design language where, like in the grassroots, in the actual borderline or baseline of your game code, you can implement things that the chat can do, which, like I said, is already present in certain games minimally, but then Twitch has, or not Twitch, but Amazon actually has a coding language, which I think is called like Lightstorm, and that's doing the same thing for Twitch. So this has probably become more and more of the norm. Because generally speaking, when you're watching a live stream, I don't know if you've done this, you can, chat and ask questions, and you can either talk to the broadcaster or talk to the chat itself. And every once in a while, it'll be like, oh, spawn more enemies, do this, whatever. You can make it harder, easier for the person who's playing the game. But the way that this is being kind of touted is more of a, you're really going to change things, which I don't know is going to be true. But they already just released a mobile app which allows you to actually stream from your phone, which is something that is just unheard of. That's not commonplace. The one example they gave for the interaction, though, and this is the one that would really be the seller, is, especially since Minecraft is owned by Microsoft, they own Mojang, you're going to be able to, like, spawn zombies or, like, farm wood more or shit like that. And so, given that they've already kind of used Minecraft to promote their augmented reality and mixed reality headsets, and now they're trying to use their live streaming entity Mixer to promote Minecraft also, they might actually have something here if Minecraft is able to actually ride this trend roller coaster that's had for 5 years or something like that. As long as it doesn't drop off, like the people get too old to play it or something like that, yeah, they could potentially, I highly doubt it, but they could potentially compete with Twitch, even though they're the industry leader. Here's an ad break, because we've been talking for about an hour now. I said during the Patreon little think piece conversation that you could support us and that we could pitch your idea. Literally, anything that you want us to sell, we will sell for it. We don't give a shit. We need money. If you work at Fleshlight, I'll do the Kevin Smith thing. I'll fuck your rubber pussy. I'll tell the internet about it.
That?
No, that's not one of their sponsors anymore. I wish they were. I loved those commercials.
I remember that. I loved hearing about that.
That was hilarious. He's like, I got a wife, but she doesn't always want to fuck me, so sometimes I grab this flashlight, I take off the top. It's so discreet, guys. You put in this special lube, you fuck this thing, you just come right into it. I'm telling you, this feels like a real pussy. You like your pussy warm? Put it in the microwave for a little bit, then fuck it. And then, it's not going to complain about you. It's not going to give you any lip, but if you want lip, they make one that looks just like a mouth, too. Feels like a blowjob. You want a butthole? You got that, too. You're gay? No problem. They make the gay ones. They're called FleshJack. You go on there. Fleshlight.com/Schmodco. Tell them I sent you. You save 20%. I love it. And I was like,
Good impression.
I was like, yeah, I want a Fleshlight.
Save that and put a timestamp on it so people can find that clip alone.
Like I seriously.
You need the music in the background too for that.
I never knew what a Fleshlight was. I think that's most people. That's
how I learned about it.
Until he got sponsored. And then once he got sponsored, I seriously started researching them. I'm like, oh, these aren't that expensive. And then I did even more research. They have one called, what the fuck is it called? It's called, like, the U-Jack. And it has sensors in the Fleshlight. And you plug in, like, a USB Bluetooth dongle on your computer. And then they have special porn clips. And, of course, because they're, like, so big now, they literally have vaginal, like, cavities that are molded based on porn stars. Also Akura, among others. And you can watch clips that they have exclusives on while you're fucking this fictional version of their vagina. And if you pull out, it pulls out. If you go fast, it goes fast. If you want to switch positions, you can do that. And this was before virtual reality became a thing. In my imagining the peak of what interactive porn is possibly. And I have to imagine, I can't believe they haven't done it yet, if they can take that technology and implement virtual reality experiences, that people wouldn't leave their house.
They will, eventually.
They should have already. Like, I got back into VR porn lately. I mentioned this, I think it was last week, how, like, the Pornhub app is amazing if you have Google Cardboard. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Like, it almost, seriously, it almost is like I can't really remember why I stopped watching virtual reality porn. It's almost like that.
It might be because you were dating an actual person for a while.
Maybe. Maybe, but even
I think that's what
I'm
stopped
talking
it
like
for
more
a while.
like since then though. Like that was
Yeah,
like 5 months ago or something like that.
that was a long
And
time ago.
well, that's the thing. I don't watch porn anymore, to be honest.
I don't either.
Like I'll go on Reddit and I'll like go through like Gone Wild or whatever the many subreddits that I frequent on there for salacious activity, where I kind of want like in the moment, not necessarily amateur material, but it's not. And some of them have Patreons or like GoFundMe or whatever. Like they have websites or like ManyVids or whatever. They'll tips, and a lot of them are entrepreneurs or like they'll sell panties to you or whatever. Like they know what they're doing. They have a business, and most of them, it's instead of stripping, this is how they go through college. And so just like looking at their pictures or gifs or videos on occasion. But then what I really found myself watching the same way that usually when I get home, like I'll put on Twitch TV for a little bit. I'll watch a couple people play video games for the entertainment factor to get better at the games that they're watching, maybe for like tips and tricks or whatever. And I do the same thing for porn. Like I'll find myself on ChatterBait or on like my free cams or something like that. And it's like the same idea. Like it's just I don't want a scripted studio project where it's like 30 minutes long and it's unrealistic. I want to see a real girl or a real couple right now in the moment doing something that is never going to happen again. Well, like maybe they'll do something similar, but it's special because I'm here now.
Hmm.
I don't know. I don't know. I kind of start doing that more. But yeah, VR porn. I'm probably gonna,
You can do a whole podcast where you just talk about this. I would listen, honestly.
I probably am. Like I talked about earlier in the show. I gave her my business card. I really hope she gets in touch with me. It's someone came into my store yesterday who works for what's the developer? I forget right now. But the game that she worked on is called Sisters, which I was familiar with. We were kind of like playing tug of war, like playing footsies. She came in, they were looking for a game, and they were like, "Oh yeah, do you have?" They were talking about VR for a second. And I was like, "Oh yeah, blah blah blah. I have a real VR. They have HTC," and we're like joking about it, making some jokes. And then like a little bit later, she turned around, and she showed like her jacket, and she was like, "Oh yeah, I worked on Sisters." I was like, "Oh hey, what's up?" I was like, I gave her my card. I was like, "I'd love to have you on my podcast." I kind of like not necessarily want to make a VR show, but like the thing that I've been throwing around, it's called like maybe like Money Talks. And it's literally just like an interview show. It's kind of like what I almost did with Greg when he came on for the VR Tech and Spec episode. I just instead of getting someone on and just talking about the news, I want to
Interview them,
basically
yeah.
interview them. Like, what do you do? What's that like? What are you working on now? Like, maybe not VR centric, but yeah, like that's probably the thing that I'd like to follow the most. And then kind of like in Adam Sandcasting, I was talking to Tyler about this actually this week. In terms of like, dude, are you ever gonna get Adam Sandler on your show type of thing? Like maybe eventually that like if I make enough episodes and people listen, that yeah, maybe I could fucking get Palmer Lucky eventually, and that'd be cool. And I'd like to do that one in person because we live in the same city. Like why the fuck not?
Yeah.
And I don't think I could do a podcast with someone that I've never met face to face. Like it would probably be hard for them, especially if they've never done one. I'd probably kind of be nervous.
It'd be an interesting step, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, I like the idea of interviews too. I mean, and hey, just that name, like, if you go by that name, there's actually a large wealth of just people that you can interview, depending on whatever topic it is.
Money Talks.
Maybe one day we'll interview Trump. I don't know.
I don't know. That'd probably be boring. Not just a good Chris Rock movie. Also a
I think
movie
it
title.
could make it interesting.
Maybe.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you want to put money in my face, pussy, I will talk for you on one of our podcasts about whatever you got. We don't care. We want the money. We need to
Just talk to Kevin Smith about fleshlights, and you won't even be talking. He'll be talking the whole time. You'll be listening, and
I would never want him on my podcast. Not because I don't like the dude, but well, obviously I like the dude. I just don't think I'd feel. I would definitely feel emasculated on my own show. Like he would totally take over. Like, hey, kid.
oh, he would talk the whole
Yeah,
time.
he would talk the whole time. He's like, I know how
Yeah.
to do a podcast. Okay. Like, okay, you do.
It's like that's easy views right there. It's like you don't even have to do anything. Just have him on, and that's it.
Let me drink some more water before we finish up this show. It's almost over.
Yeah.
So here's a new section, just because these were random shit. Usually we do follow-up, then we talk about what the fuck we do on the show, then I do the headlines, and then we do VR, and then movie stuff to close it out. Because that was all like scattered over the place, this closing section is probably going to be the same for the next 2 episodes. It's called Do You Want More, which is whatchamacallit, not Super Troopers. Well, I'm all over the place right now. Starship Troopers reference. Sadly, I did not get a ticket.
Do you want to know more?
Yeah, do you want to know more? Sadly, I did not get a ticket to that RoboCop Starship Troopers double feature. So
Well, it's 2 days. You can still.
No, I'm
they
probably
sell
gonna
a
drive out
limited
there.
number.
Yeah, I'm just gonna hit someone up. Hey, do you want to go? Get there real early, like whatever time the show starts, like an hour before that. Camp.
Probably, yeah. Like, if there's no line, you could go to, like, there's a fucking Starbucks around the corner.
Yeah,
There's
there's
Pink's,
coffee
there's
shit.
places
Well,
to
I'm
go.
not going to
yeah.
Pink's. That's a little bit of a drive. But yeah, no,
It's probably like 5 minutes walking. Maybe 10.
no. Yeah.
Well, there's always a line there,
It's
too,
also
actually,
going to be
during the day.
early June, and it's going to be a long walk. I'm probably just going to go show up. I don't think I have work. Oh, I don't have work. I don't have work.
No, it's a Friday, Saturday. I looked it up, so
and-
you can still do the show on Sunday.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna I'm gonna hit someone up. Like when I put interested on Facebook, I had like 4 people like my status. I was like, okay, cool. Now I hope they didn't buy a ticket. Yeah, I'm probably start asking people this week. Be like, hey, we're gonna go. If we don't get a ticket, fuck it. We'll sneak in. How hard could it be? Type of thing. Yeah, but do you want to know more? I did my part. So this is related to VR. It wasn't a segue I was planning. But Oculus, their first employee, actually just left the company this week. We're not talking about the founders, Palmer Luckey, and whoever else he brought with him. The literal first employee, the first person that they hired, who's been with the company since like 2011, 2012. He left the company this week. Is the likelihood of a larger exodus large now? Like, is that a possibility? Palmer Luckey left not to, or was forced out. We'll never know the truth until he does a memoir or whatever.
Well, honestly, who is this, and how relevant is it?
He's
what
nobody.
they do?
He's nobody. But this is
I'm just
when-
saying, like, how is that a sign?
during their
like after...
Kickstarter days. Okay, someone applied for the job and he started working with them, and he's been with them since their inception. I don't know how big I could find his name. I could probably find what he does. He's probably a coder, or maybe he's an engineer. Okay, the point is, Palmer Luckey just left. They had that whole John Carmack problem, and now they got this. And when you throw in the idea that Oculus Story Studio just closed a couple weeks ago, so they're no longer doing their own creation of films or experiences, that Oculus Game Studios doesn't really exist, and all they do is buy out properties so they can do them, and they are becoming more and more friendly on other platforms. For instance, Superhot VR, which is something that I really want my PSVR, is on HTC Vive now. You can get it on Steam VR, and that was a big Oculus exclusive. So that makes me hope that most of these exclusives are timed and not going to always be only within the Oculus mainframe. But at the same time, I don't know. It's like I can't imagine working for Facebook. Because when you work for Oculus now, you don't work for Oculus, you work for Facebook. In the same way that if you work for WhatsApp or Instagram...
Just the division that you work for.
Exactly. It's like you're in a smaller grouping of this major company. And based on that interview that I mentioned last week, I can't imagine Facebook is the best work environment. Not that it's bad or anything. Like, I have family that works at Facebook. But at the same time... There's only one person leaving. He probably got a better job. He's probably going to be making more money. But maybe it's because of all the legendary stuff that's happened at Wanda over the last couple of weeks. I kind of sense a similar thing happening right now, given that Oculus isn't going to be at E3. That kind of
I think
stuff.
Wanda's going to buy Facebook. Is that how far you want to go?
No, that's impossible. They don't have that much money.
Good.
Maybe. I doubt it. I doubt they have that much money. That they'd go broke if they did that. Fuck, Facebook doesn't even have that much money. They couldn't buy themselves. I don't know. Just it's something to think about. Like in terms of how VR is moving along. I do want to know.
I mean, they've been up shit creek for a while as far as how often you've been talking about them, and so yeah, it wouldn't be surprising that this is just a small step, but. I mean, at the same time, this, there's not much to go on based on this news item. We don't know who the guy is or
Well, I mean,
who
I
he or
could
she
find him.
is,
It's a dude. I could find
what
it.
they
Like
do.
his name was in the article I read. I just didn't write it down because it's not really relevant. Because I don't actually
Okay.
know his name. You don't know his name. Most of our listeners don't know his name. He's just someone that worked at Oculus, but he happened to be the very first person that they actually employed outside of the original inception of the company. And so that's kind of a major thing. If you're first from being a like garage project to a company and actually paying someone, and that person now has left after it has merged with Facebook. They're the pioneers of virtual reality in the modern age, and basically the namesake. When people talk about VR, for the most part, they do say, "Oh, do you have an Oculus?" Like that's still it's not necessarily genericide. It's not quite there, not yet, but fairly in that alley. Like I said, this is. Do you want to know more? Like I don't actually know the answers for some of these things, but these are some of the things that I thought were interesting. Similarly, also VR, HTC showed off something called the HTC Link this week. It's Japan only right now. It's a mobile VR headset that pairs with their new HTC U11, their latest flagship. That's probably not going to sell. It's also known as the Squeeze Me phone because its selling point is on the sides of the
What does that
phone.
mean?
Like on the sides of the phone in the bottom third, there is a section that
Squishy?
you literally squeeze it. It has an engine that recognizes pressure sensitivity on the frame of the phone, and so in certain sections you can make it do whatever you want. If you do a short press, you can open the camera or your calculator or your flashlight. If you do a long press, it will do this, and within your system menu you can set it to literally anything you want to do. So this phone, it might not sell a lot, but it does have this HTC Link available, at least in Japan right now. What's interesting about this is not a Gear VR. This is not a Google Cardboard. This is something in the line of Oculus's standalone Santa Cruz headset that's coming, or better yet, last week when we were talking about Google I/O in terms of the new Daydream headsets, one coincidentally being made by HTC, the other by Acer, that are also standalone. They do not rely on a supercomputer or a video game system or a smartphone inside of it. This thing has its own display, its own processor, has inside-out tracking, it has a motion controller, which is pretty much Daydream. The only catch here is, like I said, it pairs with HTC U11. I don't know if that's going to be wirelessly, probably not, or if it's tethered, more likely the case. And LG did something similar. Like most people were saying, this is the first time this has ever happened. LG, I think it was the V10, or maybe it was the G6. They had a VR headset that no one bought, that no one talked about, and it was something similar. But this is kind of like a mid-step. I believe this is going to be a proof of concept for what their Google Daydream headset is going to be. That they were already making this, and then this was such a success that they decided, like Google lent them a hand and said, hey, do you want to make one of these, but even at a bigger level for like an international release with our name on it? And they went, yeah, of course, like why not? But really interesting. Like depending on the price point for this, its release date, if Japan goes crazy for it or whatnot. I'm sure a lot of people are going to import them here just to try them out. But as of now, I don't know what the selling point is because I don't think it's on Daydream. It probably is just going to be a cardboard device. Maybe it has dedicated functionality. They do have the HTC Viveport app available in that country and also Hong Kong. So maybe that's kind of what it is, that it's going to be their HTC VR like ecosystem, but in a more portable way, no cables at all. But then the questions that I really have and why I want to know more are, well, what's the battery life on this kind of thing? How does this compare literally to their Daydream device? Is it like the same thing or close enough or not really? Who's going to want this? Like, I just have a lot of questions, and I can't wait for the reviews on this thing. Maybe they show it off at Tokyo Game Show. I don't know. We'll really find out. Here's something that doesn't really fit on the show, but I put it on here because I thought it was interesting. Live Nation, the biggest concert promoter on the planet, then the company that owns Ticketmaster, aka the biggest ticketing site on the planet, they just launched something this week. I think it's already sold out, called the Festival Passport. It grants access to 90 of the international music festivals it promotes. It's crazy expensive, but not really when you think about it, especially what you get. It's $7.99. You get tickets to Austin City Limits, both EDCs, Hard Summer, All three Lollapaloozas, Bonnaroo, New York's Governor's Ball, Isle of Wight, Parklife, Reading Festival, among others, like 80 others. And it's, like I said, for the price, it's actually cheap. It's only $800. One weekend pass for Coachella, they don't do Coachella, is, like 500 or something like that. FYF for 2 days is like 400. I think it's 250 now. So comparatively, this is cheap, especially like when you throw in like Fire Festival and shit. Yeah, this is really cheap. The catch was, like I said, I'm fairly sure it's sold out now. It was only available, I think, on Friday, and only 1,000 lucky fans were able to get it. What's cool about this, though, and I think the real reason I want to mention it is because I hope this is something that the industry kind of embraces, is that only one golden ticket was available per shopper. If you were lucky enough to get queued up, actually get a spot in line, and press the buy button, you weren't able to buy 5 for your friends or resell them. You got 1, and only 1. And so the likelihood of these people reselling are very, very low, and I think that's really cool. I think it's just more the concept of basically the Spotify or Netflix model for a festival circuit makes sense. Like I wouldn't be surprised if a film festival did this.
Just yeah, I mean, just any festival, like in general. Like I don't know why it should start at just music right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like I imagine that it'd be nicer. It would. Sorry, it's fucking tight. It'd be more convenient if this is all at one place for a major event. If they could at least get access to that, but it's a good start. I mean, fucking around what, $800 for ACL?
800.
That's a really good deal.
Yeah, most of these are in like the $300 range anyway, especially if you go the entire weekend. And so basically, if you go to one or two of these, and most people like go to EDC, go to Hard Summer. A lot of people like go to Lollapalooza, go to Bonnaroo. Especially the case for like All Right and Reading Festival. So if you go to one or two of these and you were lucky enough to get the ticket, I'm sure you were over the moon because, hey, you just saved a ton of money. Plus you got like a once in a lifetime, I would assume, situation going on. And I think something like this, if Live Nation were able to do this again next year, like they'll probably lose a lot of the bad rep that they have. The thing that I think is noteworthy here, especially given that Amazon just got into the concert going experiences, and mind you, one of those concerts was actually canceled because of the Ariana Grande thing. One of those, I think the Blondie show is going to happen in Manchester, so that was postponed. But the thing to note, Amazon's probably going to do something like this. Golden Voice, the people that promote FYF and Coachella, among others, they're probably going to do something like this. Like I think that this is too good of an idea to not happen. It's the annual pass. This is... It's membership. People love prestige. They love this level of excellence that I have something that you don't have. And festivals already kind of have that mentality. And if you're able to sell a VIP, like a true VIP pass, not I get to be backstage, I get X number of drink tickets, I get to take a picture of the band, but an actual VIP that you get to go to all these things, that you get this special, like a handbag or whatever. Maybe like someone does something like this for trade shows. You can go to E3 and CES and AdultCon and VidCon. Like you can go to all of these when you pay this ticket, or maybe for Comic Cons. Here you'll get one for San Diego, LA, Long Beach, Detroit, New York. You get a inclusive ticket for the true fans, the people that actually go, not the hype beast, the people that just want to go just to post pictures on the internet, but like the people that live for this shit. Instead of having to pay $400 every time and sitting on the website all night pressing refresh, oh, I got it. The idea that, this is for you. We actually love that you support us, that you go to all of our things. Let us set you up with a discount. This is only for you special people. Maybe the way that you do this, how you capitalize on this and you push it even further, is the people that are these dedicated fans that have a track record of going to your event year after year after year and RSVP in advance every single time, that they get like an early bird preview, kind of the same way that I hope dies eventually, that, American Express holders can buy it 3 days in advance type of thing. I think that this could be a trend that I get behind. Even if I don't necessarily attend these kind of events anymore, I'd be tempted to, if the ones that I'm interested in had a subscription model in this way, instead of doing an a la carte purchase. Like you just buy them all. I'd buy that for $1. It's I really like it. the last thing on the show is a very jokey topic. At first, it's going to seem like it's fake, but it's real, and the second one's going to seem like it's fake because it is. So this is all over the internet. You probably saw this. It's pretty fucking awesome. But Twitter might have created 2 film projects this month. The first of which happened at the New York Fashion Week. There's this picture of Rihanna and Lupita Nyong'o like sitting next to each other, and Lupita's wearing like glasses and looks real smart, and Rihanna's wearing like kind of like an undercover getup with some shades on, right in front of the runway. And this thing started with like 3 different people tweeting about it, and the first one was like, wow, it looks like Lupita is like the hacker best friend, and Rihanna is the one that's gonna rob everyone. And then like these 2 ladies like set up the whole synopsis, and then the people that are actually being tweeted about got on board. Like Anna DuVernay started tweeting about it. Oh, I'm gonna shoot this son of a bitch when the light's going up. Like, Issa Rae, do you want to write the thing? And then she's like, yeah, I'm already on the second draft. What are you talking about? Rihanna started tweeting about it. Lupita started tweeting about it, and now Netflix apparently is actually making it. This is a real thing. This is probably the first time that Twitter or social media has ever created a movie or pitched a movie to a studio. So I don't know if this is real or fake real, or it's actually in the process of being made now. But if it is, like, how do you even credit this kind of thing? Who is it going to be based on tweets by so and so and so and so? Is this inspired by the social media story that everyone couldn't stop talking about? Like, this is one of those. Of course, it's a Netflix movie. Like, it could have been YouTube Red also. But I don't know. I don't know if this is real or not yet. The other thing, though, which is totally not real but probably should be, is a jokey Simon and Garfunkel cinematic universe, which I'm sure you caught wind of. I think it was yesterday, 2 days ago now.
I have not.
So it started with Edgar Wright, and he tweeted, he was like, so Baby Driver's coming out. How much longer? He's like, Baby Driver's coming out. Mark Webb is making The Only Living Boy in New York. Who else is on board for the Simon Garfunkel cinematic universe? And Rian Johnson went, okay, well, I want Keep the Customer Satisfied. These are all titles of theirs, which I didn't know because Sound of Silence is the only song that most people know. But yeah, Rian Johnson's like, I want this one. And then Lin-Manuel Miranda was like, I want Cecilia. And then Edgar Wright asked The Rock, he's like, are you going to be starring in I Am a Rock? He's like, you know it, bro. And he called, what the fuck did he call him? He called him E-Dubs, which I thought was just cute as hell. And this was like a whole. If you Google Simon and Garfunkel cinematic universe, you're gonna find this. You're gonna find the tweet thread. It's hilarious. Like it's seriously, it's one of those. This is why Twitter exists. This can only exist on Twitter. Celebrities aren't gonna be on the same social media together. You can't literally retweet anything else. It's a Twitter term. And the idea that these A-list personalities, while promoting their films, like Baby Driver's only a month away now, are just having fun with shit, that they're not letting Roger Moore dying ruin their week, or Ariana Grande's Manchester thing ruin their week, that they're trying to create more fun, they're trying to create more escapism for the internet, that they're making a story that even in passing is fun to talk about, is why I'm happy this planet is where it is. I might not always feel at home on this world anymore, but hey, there's enough going out there that you can at least smile about it. On my way home, I had a long day. I didn't want to be at work. I was hungover. I'm trying to pull my car into my driveway. This neighborhood cat, he's walking across the street as slow as he can towards my driveway. We're all sitting there waiting. I'm looking at him, and even though I'm having this week, this day that's not so great, he looked right at me, and I looked right at him. I just started fucking laughing. I was like, you fucking asshole. Yeah, I'll wait for you. And I pulled in, and I took a nap, and now we're doing the show.
Sounds like a nice day, honestly.
The day wasn't bad, but yeah,
I'm jealous.
It was that little moment at the end. Yeah, it really was nice.
Yeah, I'm glad you had that. I literally had like the worst day of my life in the longest time.
You'll get better.
I don't really want to talk about it, but
you'll get better.
I don't even know why I'm talking about it.
Yeah, thanks for listening, guys. We're all over the internet. I hope you enjoyed the show. I hope you learned something new. I hope this was informative. If it was, like I said at the top, or in the middle rather, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, follow us, like us, retweet, tell your friends. If you want to go on WordPress, you can actually comment on the things that we do. Better than that, Google Play Music. Subscribe to our podcast, do our RSS feed, whatever you want to do. We're all over the internet. We're only trying to go more places, even if this show itself is ending, but that doesn't mean that we're going to stop the content. So, hope you have a good one. Hope we see you on Patreon. Have a good week.
See you next week.